Let's go! LSU gets it done. My number one player in the state of Louisiana, Shelton Sampson Jr., commits to LSU. He will stay home in Baton Rouge. Comment down below. Is Shelton Sampson your number one commit for the class of 2023? He's mine, and it's going to take a lot for me to change that opinion because he truly is that special. Now, a little bit later, I'm going to tell you how I think he fits in to the LSU wide receiver room of the future. But for right now, let's actually talk about his recruitment. I feel as if LSU did a great job from start to finish on this, considering they had to make up ground with the new coaching staff. And Shelton Sampson was heavily pursued by Florida State and Texas A&M and Alabama and pretty much all the other schools you could think of. And this is a guy who just flat out dominated as a junior. So first things first, give LSU a lot of credit for getting this done. Obviously, Cortez Hankton played a huge role, and establishing that relationship was huge. Shelton Sampson has mentioned in an interview with Rivals that he was close with Mickey Joseph. So, it's very key to establish those relationships, especially with a can't-miss prospect such as this one. Now, you hear me say this all the time, there's no such thing as a can't-miss prospect, but Shelton Sampson is as close as you're going to get. Now, you take a look at his junior stats, really, really, really good stuff. 932 yards on 40 catches, averaging over 23 yards per catch, and 8 touchdowns on an offense that featured 2 1,000-yard rushers. So, just by looking at that, Catholic High was a run-based attack, and Shelton Sampson still was able to go out there and dominate. Now, he did have a solid quarterback, and then, of course, you see Emory Jones in the background, just making all different types of blocks. But the truth is, Shelton Sampson is really special, and this was a massive, massive, massive need for LSU, considering that they only brought in one wide receiver in this class. Now, how does Shelton Sampson fit in with the LSU wide receiver room of the future? Well, he fits in right away. I do believe he is a year one contributor, and you look at the five-star receivers of the past, I think he reminds me a lot of Terrace Marshall. Obviously, they wear the same jersey number. That's obviously a big-time similarity, but they are very similar builds and similar types of players, and I think Shelton Sampson's floor is Terrence Tolliver. I think he's going to be at least that good, and Terrence Tolliver, as many of you know, I talk about him a lot on this channel actually, is one of the most underrated LSU wide receivers of all time and won LSU a lot of games with not optimal quarterback play. And that will not be the case at LSU, as many of you know. It's kind of stacked at quarterback right now, and it could get even better. But, the truth is, this guy is a true game changer, and you see it consistently. If you only give him man coverage, he is going to beat you. And something that I really, really like about Shelton Sampson is his route running, right? I am not the sharpest route running expert. Trust me. I ran, I think, 5.3 in the 40 in high school. But the one thing I really like about Shelton is he does sell his routes really, really well. He does a great job of not giving away what he's going to do in his route running. And that is something that seems to be rather advanced for a player his age. So, boom, I'm looking at you. Yes, you, right now. So, as a prospect, he's really, really, really good. I wanted to show you a few things about this play. Watch Emory Jones right here. Ugh. Oh, and a pancake with extra syrup. 35's life just flashed before his eyes. Bang. And then this. So, yeah, obviously, this is massive for LSU. And for me, you take a look at wide receiver, you can make a strong case that it's the second most important position in modern college football, right? You've got to have playmakers on the outside. And last year, you only brought in one wide receiver. And this could just be unique for LSU because we've seen other schools like Alabama and let's see, who else has done really well with transfer wide receivers? Still, most of LSU's wide receivers that they've had success with are guys that come in from high school directly, no transfers. And most of LSU's wide receiver success has come from, as many of you know, Louisiana wide receivers. So the fact that you're able to get one from Catholic High and this become a big piece of your class will hopefully lead to other commits. So I'm really, really, really excited about this, and hopefully LSU is able to build off this momentum. So now let's just chat a few general topics as far as Shelton is concerned, what I would like to see out of a senior season, and that's just continued dominance, right? Everything's already done for you. Like, you've made a state championship run, you've won a lot of games, you've done all these different things in your career up to this point, and you're getting to go to the dream school. I want to see a senior season from him, though, that continues to build off of what we see here, right? You look at him catch his jump ball, something I really like about his jump ball ability. And once again, this is him as a sophomore, okay? Watch him catch this football at its highest point, okay? And then immediately, see if we could slow it down just a little bit. Immediately, watch him shield the football away from the defensive back so his hand doesn't get in there late to strip it out. I mean, that red zone awareness is huge. And LSU, you see a better angle right there, shielding that football away from the DB. It's just good stuff. And you see him do that a lot, honestly. Same thing here. Okay, you catch the football and you get the football away. And it does help that he has longer arms, that they're not able to, reach out and make that play. Here he is going up against Edna Carr, a lot of D1 guys on the field here, a few LSU Tigers on the field here as well. It's just incredible. And you also got to factor in that Catholic High plays a high level of competition. This is him blocking right there. Gotta love to see. You gotta love to see that. LSU's wide receivers last year, their blocking wasn't so great. But as a senior, obviously, it's hard to have better numbers in a run-based offense than what he had last year. But I hope to see another close to 1,000-yard or at least over 1,000-yard season from him. But yeah, I mean, he is the real deal. Now, as far as LSU's wide receiver room for the future, obviously, you have the commitments that are already locked in with some really good players. One guy I'm really high on is Kyle Parker. So I am really excited about this wide receiver crop, with Jaylen Brown as well. It's just really, 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 really good. And, I'm also really high on Kai Prean as well. So we'll see. But for me, I still think Shelton is the best out of that group and will have the best chance to help right away. The good news, though, is let's just say I'm totally wrong on this eval and it's going to take a year for Shelton to actually become the player we expect him to be. LSU's wide receiver room is still very young, right? We can pretty much say that Malik Neighbors and Jack Besh are really, really good football players, potentially special first, second, third round pick kind of talents. And BTJ has got some real ability. So you have him for at least 2 more years. And that will obviously, year 3 for those 3 guys will be Shelton Sampson's true freshman season. And then you still have Chris Hilton and Kyron Lacey, who are 2 very talented prospects with some football left to be played, at least 1 more year for Chris Hilton. And that's obviously really, really good. So, LSU's wide receiver room is stacked. And, of course, you can always go to the portal. But the truth is, LSU's wide receivers, as we mentioned earlier, is mostly comprised of high school recruits from Louisiana. And, we made the Terrence Tolliver reference. We cite this stat all the time. It is crazy that LSU has lost out on some really good wide receivers from the state of Louisiana. Obviously, the most famous example is Devonta Smith, someone who Shelton Sampson actually looks up to. But, you still have some other wide receivers like a Dontavian Wicks and Keontae Thompson for Virginia this year. I mean, Louisiana produces so many great wide receivers that you just see it, week in and week out in the NFL, that Louisiana is the wide receiver factory, and you want to get as many Pelican State wide receivers as you possibly can. And this obviously follows along that mold. So what can LSU do to build off of this? Well, for me, this is my top recruit, but hopefully you can actually reach for the stars. Maybe, just maybe, you get a Nicholas Harbor. He does have an official visit set up for LSU later this year. Kylan Jackson, hopefully, within the next 48 hours. That really solidifies this class as a bona fide top 10 class, knocking on the door for a potential top 5 class. So that is absolutely big-time stuff. Now, here's what we're going to do. Get in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of today's video. We're talking anything and everything LSU football down there. So let me know what you guys think. And don't forget, join our PHL Patreon. It is a lot of fun. You don't want to miss out on it. Lots of extra film studies that you could watch there for yourself. And check it out. Yeah. Ricky Collins film study. How about that? So yeah, patreon.com/LSU football, okay? It is Power Hour LSU. Bam! And tonight, what are we doing? Let's go get some sushi. Let's go.